Hello, and welcome to day 7 of my StoWaStarMa video challenge, where I challenge myself to stop watching and start making videos every day for the month of January. Today is day 7, and we're on video 7, so far I'm doing pretty good. Today I'm going to be talking about the family dynamics of the Addams family, one of my childhood favorites, and still one of my favorites to this day. The Addams Family was originally created by Chaz Addams as a series of New Yorker comics. Interestingly, the first character of the Addams Family created was Uncle Fester. However, originally he didn't have a name. He was just a self-insert of Chaz Addams himself. Chaz Addams always had a bit of a ghoulish sense of humor, and so he depicted himself as a bit of a ghoulish man and exaggerated some of his own traits, like his large nose. Later, the next additions to the family were Morticia and Lurch, and they were developed separately from Fester. Fester was added to the family later. Morticia was based on Chaz Addams' wife, which makes it a little strange when you think about it, that Uncle Fester was based on him and Morticia was based on his wife. But then, along with Morticia, he created Lurch. They appeared together for the first time. Lurch was based on Boris Karloff, as many have surmised. However, he was not based on Boris Karloff in Frankenstein, but rather Boris Karloff as the mute butler Morgan from The Old Dark House. Originally, Lurch was depicted with a large beard, which Boris Karloff had in that movie. Gomez was added later. He was designed to be the polar opposite of Morticia, whereas Morticia was designed to be a tall, thin, exaggeratedly beautiful woman. Gomez was a short, stocky, pig-nosed man with messy hair. It was basically just a visual joke. But mostly I'm going to be focusing on Addams Family, the television show that came later. The Addams Family have also appeared in several movies, as well as 2 live-action television shows, an animated series, and there will soon be another animated movie. But in the old television show, we got the closest look at the day-to-day lives of this family. And one thing that becomes very obvious is that the relationship between Gomez and Morticia is very solid. They have a healthier relationship than most TV couples. They are both very strong individuals. They are not dependent on each other for their own self-worth. They have their own interests. They have interests that they share, but they also have separate interests. And while they very much enjoy the things they do together, for instance, fencing, they enjoy taking part in together, they also have separate interests. And they don't resent each other for not including them in those interests. I'm sure, based on what I've seen, that if the other person wanted to be involved, they would be. But there's no sense of resentment, like that one is doing something the other doesn't want to do. For instance, it is often shown that while Gomez is off blowing up model trains with Uncle Fester, Morticia, on the other hand, is in the garden cutting all the flowers off of the thorn bushes. And they resolve conflicts without fighting. They respect each other's opinions, even when they disagree, and they try to work to find compromises. They do at times have disagreements that they do get upset about. I've never seen them depicted as angry with each other, but you will see them as, you will see Gomez especially looking as sullen when they disagree on things. However, they seek to work out compromises. They are openly affectionate. Gomez is clearly very focused on his wife, shall we say. And when he starts to become amorous, she will always tell him, "Later, darling," which shows you that they have a romantic life, shall we say, when they are away from the family. They also are very openly complimentary and polite to each other. They have good things to say to each other and about each other. And while they do occasionally complain about each other, they compliment each other more so than that. They are always shown to be saying please and thank you to each other, which is also interesting from a parenting perspective because it shows they're modeling proper behavior for their children, which, as we all know, children pay more attention to what you do than what you say. And so all of these things show them to be a very strong couple. And it also, that latter part moves into how they are as parents. And it's easy to think that they're not the best parents because their children are running around electrocuting each other and, putting each other in guillotines and chasing each other with battle axes. These are all things that are depicted as normal play in their family. It is not uncommon for the children to be shown playing with medieval torture implements, including an Iron Maiden, which is a historically inaccurate thing. That's a video for another day. They don't helicopter. They enjoy spending time with their children, but they also allow the children plenty of time to play on their own, which is good. And interestingly, allowing the children to play with dangerous objects may not be as bad as it seems. There is actually some recent research that has shown that risky outdoor play in children encourages them to be more social, more creative, more confident, but also more cautious, interestingly. They are less likely to engage in risky behaviors later in life, which the Addamses may be unhappy to hear. But it also gives them a good understanding of consequences, and it encourages creativity. After World War II, there were many adventure parks where children would play in what was essentially the craters left by bombs. These were not exactly the safest of places. They didn't have plastic slides and things. Children went out there and they played with rubble. They built things with bricks. They built things with scrap wood. There were nails and hammers, and they'd make little fires to, roast marshmallows and things on. It was very interesting time, and it didn't result in the kind of injuries that you would expect. There weren't a massive amount of horrible injuries that came out of it. Many scrapes and bruises, don't get me wrong, but the children enjoyed it more. They enjoyed being outside more, being able to just do whatever popped into their head rather than, there's the slide, we slide on the slide. There's the seesaw, we rock on the seesaw. They use their own creativity and their own problem solving. Additionally, our modern safe playgrounds have been shown to actually have a an effect on children's muscular development, because in order to be safe, they had to remove a lot of the challenge. So the children's muscles aren't being challenged, they're not developing as strongly. And so the the dangerous implements the children played with may not have been such a bad idea. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying give your kid a battle axe, but or allow them to play with electricity, but somewhere in the middle, where you allow them some freedom to play with things that you might be concerned about, but at the same time, don't give them anything that is obviously going to be dangerous. And so ultimately, the other thing is that they encourage their children in what the children want to do. They encourage them in their goals and make them think those goals are achievable. However, and they comfort the children in their when they fail. However, they don't make excuses for the children when they fail. It is just, you tried and, things didn't work out, but hey, you had fun, whatever, that's great. The Addamses were very big on allowing their children to enjoy themselves. They also did teach their children lessons. It is interestingly sort of implied that the children are homeschooled. What that looks like exactly is hard to say. However, Gomez and Morticia are clearly both reasonably educated, reasonably intelligent people, even if they are a bit strange. Also, they are shown to comfort the children when they're upset by things. I remember specifically an episode where Wednesday was very upset because they were reading a story, and at the end of it, and this was, if I remember correctly, a story that was read to her in school, because they did go to school in the TV show, but in other things, it seems like they were homeschooled. They read her a story about a knight slaying a dragon. And Wednesday was very upset because they killed this poor innocent dragon who just was being a dragon. That was its only fault. And Gomez picked her up and was holding her and comforted her while she was crying. Morticia was speaking with her, and Gomez said, "Why would anyone want to kill a dragon?" And which of course was said as a joke. But at the same time, there is something to be said for the understanding that a wild animal is a wild animal, and it being what it is not necessarily a reason to kill it. Yes, sometimes they pose a danger to us, but that's because we move where they live. And if there were fire-breathing dragons in the world today, that would be the case. We would probably, we'd probably be killing them if they were near our civilizations, but we would probably be trying to build we would probably be smarter to build our civilizations away from them. And interestingly, not only do we see the parents talking about it with her and comforting her, but then they wanted to talk to the school about why they would read this story to the children. They were concerned about what their kids were being taught. And that is also another point in their favor. Again, it's strange by our sensibilities, but it's not bad based on the reasoning. So ultimately, they are very close with each other. Morticia and Gomez are. They are very close with their children. They have a healthy and stable relationship. They have maybe a little too permissive, but they have a permissive parenting style. And additionally, they encourage their children to have relationships with the extended family. Grandmama lives with them. Uncle Fester maybe lives with them. He's always there. Other relatives come to visit, Cousin It especially. And so they keep in touch with their relatives, even relatives who are never shown, they sometimes talk about. They have a very strong family overall. And so I would say, yeah, they may very well have the healthiest family dynamic in all of television. That having been said, thank you for watching. And before I go, I need to pick tomorrow's topic from the hat. And tomorrow we will be doing the 1960 Arno River flood, which I believe was in Italy. So I'll have to look into that, and I'll get back to you tomorrow, hopefully. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day, and stay spooky.